Hi, and welcome to the Love Learns podcast. My name is Dionne Zara, just your average girl wishing to learn more about love and relationships. As a young girl, I always dreamt about my wedding day, and to be fair, I still do sometimes. With many couples around me, I quickly came to realise love isn't as straightforward as the movies make out. So I thought I would have conversations with couples who made it past happily ever after to learn more about love. And when I say love, I don't mean like the movies and fairy tales, but I mean LOVE, learning to be open, vulnerable, and empathetic. So if you're ready to learn, unlearn, and discover love through couples, you're in the right place. Hi, and welcome to the Love Learns podcast, where we learn, unlearn, and discover love through couples. This week is our first ever couple. We have Sam and Ioana, who I interviewed back in September. As you know, guys, this project has been on the go for a while. But this was my first interview I did, and it was with Sam and Ioana. Sam and Ioana are a couple from Romania who have moved to the UK, and I met them in my Connect group at church. So they will tell us more about their story, but I just wanted to give a quick, brief introduction and welcome you guys back. So yeah, let's welcome Sam and Ioana.
Well, hi Dionne, thank you so much for having us. We're honored, we really feel honored and just like talking with you, and it's definitely new for us to talk about. We've done this a few times about our relationship, but in a podcast is our first time, so thank you. Hi, I'm Ioana and I am Sam's wife.
Okay, I'm Sam and I'm Ioana's husband.
And I have a tea because when I'm nervous I need something to work with my hands.
It's so good. It's so good to have you guys on. I'm so honored to have you guys on because it's like we've spoken about this very briefly on many occasions. So I just wanted to have you guys on to actually have a conversation to help other people with long distance who are struggling with long distance. So if you could tell us like how long you guys have been together and how you guys met.
Oh.
This is going great. By the way, this is marriage 101 communication. Always look at your husband and like, how do you feel about this? The eye look. So we met in Bible school. We were part of the same year, same class. And it's so interesting because we were part of the same year, but we actually got scheduled to get into the Bible school. You had to go through an interview with the founder of the Bible school. And we were both scheduled on the same day. It's so weird, so random, because we're like 20 students in the year and both of us were scheduled on the same day. So we haven't been together. We were friends for around 3 years. Then we started dating for 3 years and a half, almost 4. And now we've been married for 6 years. So we know each other for 10 years, but together for 7.
Okay.
I'm bad with math. He's the one with the numbers. How long have we been together?
I think in total it was the 3 years at Bible school that we were just friends. I mean, we were just like colleagues.
Same group.
Then after that, it was the 3-year and some relationship, and then the 6-year marriage. So we've been together 9 years and we know each other for 12.
Oh, wow. That's a very long time, guys.
You made it.
Yeah.
You did make it. So so you guys were friends before you transitioned into being in a relationship. So how did that work out for you guys? How did you go from friends to relationship?
Because he, in a way, well.
Go.
I don't know, we were always like personal, I always thought that you don't date your friends, because we were part of the same, even today we have the same tribe, we have the same, and if you date someone who's part of the same group of friends and something goes wrong, then everything becomes really awkward for everyone, picking sides and so forth. Now I'm a little bit like dramatizing, but yeah, so we're just like friends. And then basically he had the ball in his court and he started doing the first steps and so forth, and it was like really, really slow. I'm really slow with some things, including relationships.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, yeah, we had like we were like 10 people in our like close group, like close Bible school group, and we were basically spending the whole days for 2 years together. We lived in the same building, different rooms, but in the same building, so we would see each other every day, and spend a lot of time together. So we were like a close group of friends of like 10 people. And we weren't really encouraged by the Bible school staff to like form romantic relationships. So we kind of had to, deal with that in a way, like be careful, not like escalating relationship and stuff. Just because, when you spend so much time in close quarters with so many people, I guess it's kind of in like it's unavoidable in a way to like form some kind of romantic.
Anyway, it's also easy to think that you just like someone just because you see that person every day, and that's not the point. So it was interesting because while I was a student, I said that I won't date for 2 years. I won't think about anyone. I don't want to date. I want to, I don't want to have feelings for everyone, because there were my 2 years that I wanted to set apart for God. So everybody kind of knew that, oh, she doesn't date, like there's no point because she doesn't date anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so long story short, and while we were just friends, he was really nice, but always did like little things. Oh, I can walk you to university, or I can come and pick you up, or I can, just little things that he was always paying attention to, even though we're just friends, not even talking about, oh, I might like you or not. That makes sense.
Very cool, very cool. And were you guys attracted to each other before you guys knew, or were you just like, oh, this is a friend, so that you just kind of friend zone them straight away, or did you have an idea of, oh, actually he's cute or she's cute? So
I don't know, I never really thought like in that way at that point, and probably because she was kind of like rejecting everybody that were like making any steps towards like a relationship. So I just thought to myself, oh, it's just don't bother with them, but I don't think it's probably that because of the way she related to other guys. I was just like being cautious, even if I liked her, yeah.
And you, Ioana?
Just laughing because we were friends before. Like I used to tell him about other people that I might like, and he used to show me pictures with other girls and we also have like, we were really, oh my God, you should shave your legs, that kind of relationship. And like, I'm not dating anyone. Well, you should shave your legs. Maybe you will date someone, So we were really, really just friends. I thought he was always a nice guy. Although the first time when we met, in that day of the interview, I thought, oh my God, he's so shy. Why is he so shy? And he thought, oh my God, like what's wrong with this rock chick? Because I used to be in high school into rock music and, anyways. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
That's so cool. The next question is, so when did you guys start doing long distance in the like timeline? Because you were friends for 3 years and then dating for 3 years and then married for 6 years. So how did you guys When did you start long distance?
So we
I think it was in our third month together, and I know we started
yeah,
in
that
2011.
was just briefly.
Yeah. And in a way, I was so against long distance. Like I was like, I'm never gonna do long distance. And the reason why we did it was because Sam felt that God is calling him to move to another city and just to serve there with the local church. So in a way, third month in.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Denmark.
But that was before.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot. So yeah, I went to Denmark for 3 months. In our 3 months in, and he moved to Paris for a few months. And then we came back. We were in the same town for 2 months, and then I stayed in Cluj, and then he moved to the other side of the country.
Yeah.
So how far apart were you guys? Sorry. I said, how far apart were you?
Well, about a 5-hour drive.
Wow.
So it wasn't like, oh, let's go out for a date. No.
Yeah.
We even had times when we didn't saw each other face. I remember one time for almost 3 months because we were both really, really busy, and we just couldn't find the schedule to, let's date. But yeah, it was good.
That's crazy. Like 3 months without seeing each other, but you're in the same country, just 5 hours apart from each other. How did you guys cope with that?
Well, my opinion on long distance relationship, the distance will either make your relationship or break it. You either make it or you don't. And it was such a long process to just learning to communicate. We didn't have FaceTime at the time. We had like Facebook, but anyway, it was like everything was slowly starting. No Instagram, no nothing was happening in 2011. Just to communicate by phone call and texting and so forth. And even in that, we were both so busy with our schedules that when I was free to call him, he wasn't available to answer. And when he used to call me, I was always busy. So it was a long process of just learning and having patience, trusting that, he's for me. I love him. So just learning to trust God for one another. I think that was for me, that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned, a lesson that I also brought that into my marriage, just like to trust God for him and him to trust God for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not easy not being able to spend time with each other, and at some times you feel lonely. I mean, you feel like you just want to talk, or just even see, the other person, even if it's like for 5 minutes. At least you have like some sort of contact. But I think the main thing that I've learned is about choosing, because love is a feeling, but it's also a choice. So you learn how to choose that person no matter what. I mean, even if it's like miles away, I know that she's for me and she's gonna be my wife one day, and that choice, you basically had to make it every day. And I think that really helped, solidify our relationship even before going into marriage. And it also brought up a lot of arguments and stuff that we were able to like solve even before going into in marriages. So we would, like, all these insecurities that you have with every new relationship, like you don't know if she's like being faithful or stuff like that. And a lot of discussions that might rise from these insecurities got to be exposed because of the long distance and solved. And I think all that, while it was hard, I think it was a blessing in disguise, because it really helped us resolve a lot of like communication issues or any other arguments that might have come after marriage, after two worlds collide and you have a lot of stuff to deal with. But I think most of those problems were solved before, and it was so much easier after that. Because I don't know, in our country, most people say that the first 2 or 3 years are the worst years in any marriage, but we didn't experience that because we kind of had like those frictions before because of the long distance. So I think that just solidified our relationship.
And I know that, well, he basically proposed in our second year of being together. And I know he would have proposed earlier, but I didn't want to. I was busy with school. He was busy with work and so forth. And in my first year of marriage, I had moments when I'm like, oh my God, this is so great. Why didn't I, why have I done this earlier? But as Sam said, we had those 2.5 years, almost 4, and we had to make it work. Because we took the decision, we're going to make it work no matter what. We're going to be together and we're just going to work through everything. So
very cool. So amazing to hear you guys' story. So how did you, when did you guys decide to stop doing long distance, or how did it stop? Did one of you move into the same country, the same part of the country, or did you get married and then you decided, okay, we're married now, we have to live together?
Yeah, we basically got married and then moved in. Yeah.
I never lived a day in my life in Arad only after I got married. I didn't even saw the apartment that he rented for us only after I got married and I went to see the apartment.
Yeah.
So I saw the apartment thoroughly in being married.
That's a lot of trust. You guys had to do it, someone had to do it. And so who made the move between the two of you? Yeah.
Well,
we used to joke
the wife will follow the husband.
We used to joke that I'm gonna stay in Cluj, he'll be in Arad, and we're just gonna meet in weekends, Church, he had his job, everything, and I got to that point when I was like, God, I'm gonna stop. I was really happy in Cluj, love what I did. All our friends are there, family, so forth. But I was like, I believe in what God has called him to do there. I believe that he's a blessing for the local church. It's an amazing, even today is an amazing church. So I just wanted to be a part of that. And it was challenging to start fresh, definitely. But it was nice. It was good.
What were the kind of issues that you guys overcame when you moved?
Well, you want to go first, or do you have any?
I don't think I had any real issues because I was already kind of established. I had a job. I was serving at church. I had a full-on schedule, and I think she had to adapt a little bit more than me. Yeah.
I did the same thing with London, But I stopped everything with my job, our friends, as I said earlier. So I just had to start fresh, new church, new people, start with a new job. And also just adjusting to the role of being a wife. That was so new to me because I knew him as my boyfriend, long distance relationship, but then I don't know if I should say this or not. I think in our first week, so while we were dating, we were really, really careful with boundaries, what boundaries we have. And I think depends for each couple, but we really we were really focused on God, really wanted to do everything right. And we never even spend a night together in the same apartment or anything like that. And I remember in our first week of being married and sleeping in the same bed, I woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, who's in bed with me? I needed a few seconds, oh my God, who's in bed with me? Okay, you're married now. You're sleeping with someone in the same bed. So it was those kind of details. Everything was new. And also like finding a new, I write a lot in my devotionals, and I remember writing a lot of prayers like, okay, God, how can I relate to you now of going to single? Because also when you're a Christian, you also think, okay, what is God thinking of this? How can I bring God in my relationship and so forth? So hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So how did you guys use your faith to strengthen your relationship? Because I remember, Ioana, you were saying it was kind of because, God was in it, it was kind of easier for you to handle the long distance, even though it wasn't something you wanted to do. But how did your faith impact the long distance between the two of you?
I think it made it really, really, I mean, easier, definitely easier, because you had something to anchor in. And I mean, it's hard for me I mean, if I wouldn't have that faith, like behind me, and that rock that I could like just stand on, would be, I don't know if it would have worked, because it's so easy. It's so easy to like just get distracted and then lose focus and just you know um, probably let your mind go on and on and on, and then with like doubt or fears or insecurities. And I think having faith um, dealt with a lot of that, like all the fears, all the insecurities, all the whatever thing that might have come up in your mind when you're sitting alone, you're alone in your miles away. And
Because we had this, what I really liked about him, and in a way about our relationship, and we're still growing in this and we're still learning. So it was that Christian element to us and to what God needs for both of us. And what I really liked about him, and also when we did the long distance relationship, we both wanted God more than we wanted each other. I don't know if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So we were on, even, okay, God, I'm putting my relationship with him in the background and on your altar, because I want to do what you called me to do. That's why I was able to go to Denmark or stay inclusion, I used to work with the charity, local charity, and he was able to, I want what God called me to do with this church more than he wanted me as his wife. And yeah, he said, I think we threw a lot of our issues and insecurities on God. And by the time we were talking with one another, that was in a way the filter version of everything that was going on in my head, because I had to learn that, okay, he is one of the worship leaders. He works with a lot of teenagers, girls, and they look at him, sometimes they worship God or they worship him, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn, in his role he will talk with other girls, in his role he will talk with other people, and I have to be okay with that. For it's important how you talk, but I don't want to freak out every time someone came to him and said, oh, I love how you love worship, which in the beginning I had issues. I had a lot of issues in the beginning. But and I had to learn on my own, and reading books on marriage and books on relationships and how to deal with my emotions first, because I don't know if maybe it was just me, but I'm sure it's not. You do something and you're like, man, but this is not me. Like, why they reacted like this? Why? So I used to have a few moments when why on earth I reacted like this? Like, this is not me. We used to be friends before. We always used to talk with other people, So yeah. I hope that answers your question. I feel like we're saying
really good.
Well, it helps to have something bigger than yourself, to focus on. And I think what I learned is that even though she's a wonderful person, it's like amazing to be with her, and just have her as a partner. She's never gonna be able to complete me like 100%. And that, because we are people, we tend to disappoint, and you need to get that there are a percentage from somewhere, and for us is God. And I think that really made the whole difference for the long distance thing.
Can I just say one more thing here? Maybe there's someone who listens to this podcast and they're not a Christian and they're like, okay, they talk about God, but there's nothing going on for me in that area. So my advice will be, while someone who's not a Christian and they're doing the long distance relationship, is to take that time apart as a blessing, Christian lingo, blessing, but focus on yourself, focus on your studies, focus on things that you want to do, focus to become the best version that you can be for your partner. So yeah, just felt I need to say that.
Very awesome. Thank you for even bringing that in, because I think some people might get lost in it and think, oh, I don't have faith, so I can't do long distance kind of thing. So that's a really good point. If you don't have a faith, it doesn't mean long distance is like cancelled for you. It just means you have to think about it in a different way, which is amazing. So thanks for bringing that up. Another question I did have for you guys is, like, how did you guys adjust with just being in the same house? As you said, you woke up in the bed thinking, oh my God. So how did you adjust from having that like scare or that feeling of, actually, I'm with someone now, I'm in their space constantly now?
Well, definitely when two people are beginning to live together, there will be some sparks or fireworks that will go off. Well, just because, you're so used to do, especially I lived alone for like, I was like used to do stuff in a certain way, like arrange the kitchen in a certain way, have everything in a certain way, and then, you wake up in the morning, you go to work, and you come back from work, and everything is different. She cleaned the house, but in that process, she moved everything around to her liking. So it was like, I can't find a spoon. Where is that? Where is that? And it was stuff like that to get adjusted.
I'm laughing because I remember a specific episode that I feel bad about it even today. Sometimes I remember, I don't know why. But side note, because we were for so much time apart, we were really happy to be together, like honestly. And because we went through the Bible school years, we had roommates, so we always had to adapt and to adjust. So we kind of like, we're always tidy up after ourselves and so forth, because we had that already in our habits. But I remember one specific episode when he likes little plastic figures they used to have all over the house and on his desk at home. I used to be like, they always gather so much dust, I'm gonna throw them. And he was like, no, I'm gonna take them to my office, don't throw them. And I felt bad because he took his action figures to his office.
That's so funny. I think sometimes you forget that, like, especially when you're doing life on your own for such a long time, which you guys were doing life, but you're still in a relationship, but you're doing your own life, but having to bring it together and do life together. And it must have been a little bit of a shock, even though you wanted it to be like the best thing because you haven't been together yet. But it does have some aspects of like, oh, there is going to be a bit of friction, a little bit of sparks or fireworks, as Sam was saying.
And only after we got married, we discovered that I'm not a morning person and he is. And I hate noise in the morning. And
like, I'm up at 7. She's like, no, talk to me. Okay.
So, and it still is a transition. You
have to adjust. Process. But it wasn't that bad though. It was quite of a smooth transition in a way. It's probably because.
And I think in any relationship, you should put your partner first, and then if you're looking at what's best for him and he's searching what's best for you, then I don't mind where I put the spoons, or I don't mind, because I want him to be okay. And it's always about meeting your partner halfway. I think that's the key.
Well, after a while, you just got used to everything, so it doesn't matter where the spoons are, because you're living with the same person for 6 years, you know where the spoons are.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now you guys have been married 6 years, which was you just celebrated your 6 years in August.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like what do you think you learned from long distance coming into marriage, and how did it encourage your marriage?
Well, it definitely helped us develop a good communication um, strategy. So I think because of the years spent in a long distance relationship, it really helped create this communication strategy in a way, because every time in long distance, if you don't talk, there's not much else you have to do, you can't do anything. So I think that helped us, get ahead of a lot of arguments or problems, because we would deal with them, straight on.
Yeah. And for me, what I'm still learning is that love doesn't always look how I picture it. I don't know if that makes sense, but as I mentioned in the beginning, I hated long distance. And I remember while I was in Denmark, just a few months in our relationship, I found one of the books from Elizabeth Elliot, and she talks about how she waited for 6 years for Jim, I think that was his name, to propose to her. And I remember reading that story, and I was like, God, I can't wait that long. Like, not even, I didn't want it to, in my mind, it was like, yeah, we're dating for a few months. And then after 6 or 7 months, we get engaged. 5 more months, we get married. But it wasn't like that. And usually I fight my blessings. And usually what I'm afraid to go through, God is like, here it is. And I can show you, God is like, I'll be with you and you will make it. And I remember reading her story about her Jim Elliot, and it's like, God, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. And I was afraid because I knew that in my heart, God will ask us the long distance and we will stay apart for quite a few years. So yeah, love doesn't always look how I picture it, but it's good. It's amazing when God is doing his thing.
Whilst you guys were doing long distance, did you guys have any resources or books or anything that you felt encouraged you through the long distance?
I'm much of a reader, so I would say no. But I mean, I guess being actively involved in a community helped, because you could get advice even without asking any questions, just being part of a community.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful for me.
Yeah, well, I'm more of a little bit of a nerd, and every time I go through something new, I'm like, what books can I read on this? And yeah, I read a few books from Elizabeth Elliot, and just reading the Bible helped me a lot. You find a lot of advice from Proverbs 31, and I used to pray a lot. God, help me to be a woman of faith, help me to be wise and build my marriage and so forth. And also, I read quite a few books from Linda Dillow, and from her, I kind of learned, okay, I need to trust God for my husband, because I can freak out over things, but in the end, God comes first. Yeah, so I definitely, I recommend reading. So this was happening in 2011. Now we have even more resources. We have internet, we have webinars, we have Instagram, Facebook. We didn't have all that years back.
It was internet back then.
I know it was, but it wasn't. Now you can sign up to a lot of webinars and Instagram sessions, which so information is so at hand. When a few years ago, it wasn't that easy to find what you need, or at least wasn't in Romania. We had internet, but
That's very cool. Did you guys ever see any other couples doing long distance whilst you guys were doing it, or have any examples of it?
Most of our friends, they got our group of friends, and I used to be jealous of this. Like, why, God? Why them and not us? I think most of our friends, they were like stayed in the same town, same city. They started dating, getting engaged, getting married, having kids, still there. And but I was so blessed with them because every time our friends they made sure that I wasn't alone. Let's go out and play volleyball. Let's go out for a picnic. You're not gonna stay at home and missing Sam and so forth. So I can't remember any couples that did the long distance. Plus, all of our friends, they got married really in the second year. So we're like the only ones left that weren't.
Yeah, and everybody was like, when are you getting married?
Yeah. What took you guys that long to get married, or what took you long for? Because your friends all got married around the same time, so why were you guys a little bit later?
I think we were focused on. Doing what we were doing when we started dating, and I think we waited for that long just because we kind of wanted to have some sort of stability, for the future, and have maybe be just a little bit more rooted in at least one of the places that we were in, so we can go. And I think it really helped because we really needed to do what we had to do at that point.
Yeah.
And instead of rushing it, because I just started leading worship at the church in Arad, and I think that period needed to happen in my life. So it was kind of like a preparation for marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it, and I think that's why, because everything happens with the perfect timing. And I think that was the perfect timing for us, even though there was some pressure from our group of friends that everybody was getting married. They were starting having families, having children and stuff, and we were still long distancing, but I think we kind of needed to do that.
Yeah. Plus, as I said, I didn't want it to wait that long. So after I struggled with no waiting, then, let's wait. And then too long. But I was also a student. I was studying to get my master's degree. I was working. We were in a different place. As Sam said, we needed that time apart. And in the end, it's proven to be a blessing, because when we got married, we're like, oh my God, we're so blessed to be together. And also we had, in a way, a different level of maturity by the time we actually got married.
Because when I moved to Arad, I didn't really have a job, like a normal job. I was just serving at the church, and it wasn't like a paid job. It was like my parents kind of supported me through that period. And I remember listening to this way back. I was 17 or 16. There was a sermon by Paul Washer, and he was saying, it was a sermon about dating and relationships and stuff, and he was saying don't even dare ask a woman to marry you if you don't have a job or you can't provide, and I was like, that just stuck with me, and I didn't really want to make any steps towards marriage if I wasn't able to support myself, financially, basically. But being in Arad opened some doors for me to start a business and learn programming. I basically learned, I taught myself,
Very cool.
And I think that really helped me just mature and take responsibility. And like I said, I think we really needed that time to just grow individually.
That's amazing. It sounds like you guys were focused on you and what God was doing in your lives in order so that when you guys did come together, it would be the best version, like two wholes rather than two halves, which sounds just amazing, because it's very rare for you to see nowadays. A lot of the time people are like hoping that someone could complete them, or be in a sense of, oh, I can rely on you for this, or some sort of partnership, rather than I'm coming whole, you're coming whole, and we'll work from there kind of thing, which is just amazing. So it's so good to hear you guys did the work before you even got to a point where you're like, okay, we're going to get engaged now. Because I think sometimes it does get a bit confused when you just go straight into a marriage and you're not already established in yourself. And I think that also helps creep in with insecurities when you are married and stuff, and makes the friction even more intense. So it's really, really cool to hear that. Do you guys feel like you learned anything about empathy in the time of when you guys were doing long distance?
Well, I don't know exactly about that, but I know I learned a lot about patience.
Oh yeah.
Just a lot of patience. And also,
But you did learn empathy because you kind of had to understand the other person
yeah,
and where it's
true.
coming from. Because a lot of times, being at the and having a long distance relationship will put some strain on the relationship, and then there will be discussions, there will be fights, there will be long phone calls that you need to go through. And I think if you're not able to like stop and put yourself in the other person's shoes,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to deal with that,
Mhm.
to that like empathize with the other person. So it did really help, because you kind of had to like put yourself in that shoes to see where the other person is coming from. You were kind of in the same place. And yeah, definitely.
Cool. And the last question is also about vulnerability. So when did you guys have the moment in time where your walls came down, or your guard came down a little bit in the relationship?
I remember this specific because we were 1 year dating, and he asked me, it was New Year's Eve, and we're supposed to go to this church to spend our New Year's Eve with the church. And he asked me, "Are you happy with me?" And I said, "I'm not, but I don't have the courage to break the relationship off." And that was the moment when it was the first time when I talked about fears that I had, even like fears that I grew up with, and some ideas that I thought that a relationship should look like, and what am I expecting from him? Because I can easily play, I'm good, I'm fine, I'll keep myself busy, everything's gonna be fine. But at the end of the day, if you're honest with yourself, nothing is fine.
Yeah.
So I think that was after a year in when I said that I'm not happy, I want to break up, I don't know how to do it. Because coming with our background, Bible school, and by the time we were together, you have so many people in a way. You have leaders who speak in your life, you have pastors who are around you, there are so many it's like, I can't break this up. Like there's so many people who will have an opinion on everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a year in, that was when we actually decided to, and that was the moment when I felt that we actually connected more emotionally. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that night. It was like,
How did you take that, Sam? Because that's a very hard-hitting question as well to even
yeah.
ask.
Well, it wasn't easy, but I kind of felt that things weren't going good, because I mean, even though we didn't spend too much time together face to face, we had this connection even, before, and I kind of knew that something is wrong, and something is wrong it's like it's there at the breaking point. So that's why I asked, "Are you happy?" Because I mean, I I asked, but I didn't really want to know the answer, but I did anyway. So when she said that no, it was really hard to take in. But then, you know, in you can be selfish in a relationship, So
Yeah.
that was the moment where, okay, you're not happy, we have to do something about this. I mean, we either break up, because what I want for you is for you to be happy. I don't want for us to just like pretend and go on and everything is fine and everything, and we had a long talk that night. It was like New Year's Eve, and yeah, it wasn't an easy talk, but it was I think it was the talk that really defined everything.
Yeah, because at that moment we're like, okay, we know that okay, I don't believe in predestination or there's one person for you and so forth, but I believe in making a choice and God will bless that choice, and God did that for us, and He's still doing that today. But it was that night when we're gonna be for one another, and we're gonna work to be together and doing things right. And I never even thought of that, but it's important how you react to different situations. And that conversation that night, it could have gone two ways. Like, he could have leave, slammed the door, so forth, but he was really mature. And I remember he hugged me and said, I love you and I want you to be okay. So I think in a way, his reaction defined our relationship. And yeah, set us for the win.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's so amazing to hear that, because I think a lot of, and I think it's mostly girls, because we have this idea of what we want our relationships to look like.
Exactly.
A lot of the time we have this expectation, but we don't really communicate it properly, because if I've watched movies, you must have watched movies, so you should know how it should look like. And then you just end up getting into a pattern of resentment, because you're like, I want more, but I can't even, like, he's not doing what I want him to do. So even asking that question, Sam, was just like, kudos to you. Like, because I don't think many guys have that revelation of, actually, like, I need to be forward about this. I need to know, like, I know something's wrong, but I'm not sure what it is. So I need to ask what's wrong, instead of just trying to fix without having the knowledge of what you're fixing, if you know what I mean. So that's really awesome. Really, really awesome. Thanks, guys. This has just been an amazing conversation to have with you guys, because I feel like a lot of people tend to see long distance as so difficult that they don't try. And you guys have made it seem like, yes, it has its ups and downs, but if your communication's on point and you're open, a little bit more vulnerable with how you're feeling about stuff, honest about things, and just understanding the other person, things can get easier. So when you overcome that hurdle, you guys had a great time when you moved in. Well, at first it was a little bit of adjusting, but other than that, it's like you guys really did have like a good foundation to start your relationship off on. So yeah, last question of the night, the final question. What have you learned about being open, vulnerable, and empathetic in long distance relationships?
You need that to make it work. Plus, I mean, and we're still learning, like even today, and this year with the coronavirus and everything, we went from 6 years in, we went from, oh my God, we can spend more time together, to not talking, to I think I'm gonna move in another country and work for a few weeks and come back to me. I miss missing you, So yeah, and again, and we had a discussion a few weeks ago about something, because okay, we're still learning, but there was something that we never quite got it right, if that makes sense. And Sam said, maybe we should go to therapy. And I was like, I'm not going to therapy. If I'm going to therapy, it's like I failed, I'm a little bit of perfection. And Sam said, again, it's important how he reacts to my and he said, you haven't failed anything. We're only 6 years old. We're not even mature enough to go to school. And I know, that was my reaction. I was like, oh my God. And I started crying, because that brought so much peace in my heart and so much comfort. It's like, okay, we're still learning this. And
yeah, well, it's like a continuous choice that you have to make, every day, every single moment, because it's so easy to just call it quits. I mean, that's the easy way out. You just, okay, that's it, you take the 6-year exit. That's it. No, but I think we made like commitment to each other, and we kind of said this: we're not even gonna, say the word divorce, in our relationship. It's just something that is not for us. It's not gonna, it's not gonna be.
Even when we're dating, you have people, oh, let's be on a break. We're like, we won't use breaks. Like,
no.
What does a break mean? You're in together or you're not. So personally,
Exactly.
I don't believe in breaks, not even in marriage or just dating. I was like, don't take any breaks. Push and work through that relationship, because the moment you're on a break, you're like, you're not focused there anymore.
I mean, a break, it's easy in a way. I mean, I understand some people why they would take a break, and probably when you're dating, it's easier, but not really, because if you're not, if you're not willing to, to get vulnerable, how do you say that word? If you don't, open up and just speak your mind, you're never going to be able to like solve or get through whatever comes at you. So instead of taking like an easy route, uh, we like to just, deal with it like head on, and I think that's what I learned. You just have to make that choice. Exactly. And just trust God and trust in this relationship, because you invested so many years, and it's not just so you can call it quits after 6, 7, 8, 12. It doesn't matter. You're building a life. We are building a life with each other, and then that's more important than anything. So whatever, there's always something that you can do, to pass any problem, any issue, anything that might come.
Exactly.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. There was so much gold from that talk. Honestly, I'm just like taking notes here. So I can't wait to like actually sit down with you guys again and have more conversations about this. But yeah, it's just been amazing, and I can't wait to see you guys flourish and grow in your relationship. Even though you're just 6 years old, I can see like so much more growth coming out of you, and you guys are just amazing people. Being around you, even at Connect Group, how I know you guys is just so amazing to see you guys, how you work together, how you guys complement each other, and how you do you at the same time. Both of you have your own lives, but you live life together, which is amazing. So honestly, thanks for being such a great example of what long distance looks like, and also being examples of marriage, because I think now in this day and age we rarely see a lot of couples in happy marriages, and I can definitely say you guys are happily married. So that's amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for coming onto the show. And yeah, we'll be in touch. If you guys just want to give us your Instagram handles or how people can find you if they want to reach out to you, if you're open to that.
Well, first, thank you for having us. As at the beginning, it's an honor, and you're sort of dear to our heart, and it's a blessing to have you as one of our leaders together with Anna in our Connect group. So you're a blessing to the people around you, and just starting this podcast, I'm sure will be a blessing to many, many, many people. So I have my personal account, but I have T Generation. So it's T Generation blog, where I post different encouragements with my blog and with the books and different projects that I'm doing. So people can easily find me there at T Generation blog on Instagram.
Amazing.
Yeah, my Instagram is just Samuel Podina. I don't post a lot. I'm not really a social media guy, but yeah, if anybody wants.
He asked his wife to take care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just post some photography images, like stuff that I take with my mobile.
Yeah, he's into photography, so.
Very cool, very cool. I will leave you guys' details in the podcast notes, so that people, if they want to, reach out to you. And Ioana has an amazing book, guys, so go have a look on her Instagram page. You'll see all the wonderful things she's doing for the next generation, which is just amazing. I just feel like she's an inspiration. So thank you so much, guys.